Louis Vuitton, the leading luxury fashion brand globally, boasts of a net worth of around $180 billion, making its CEO, Bernardino, the second wealthiest man worldwide. However, the success of the company today belies its humble beginnings, with its founder being a homeless teenager who lacked formal education and even resorted to sleeping in a forest. Despite these challenges, Louis Vuitton's rise to become a powerful brand is a true rags-to-riches story. Nevertheless, the company has also faced numerous controversies, including a hostile takeover bid, multiple lawsuits, and other challenges. Despite these setbacks, Louis Vuitton has continued to thrive and evolve from a tiny family business to one of the most influential and recognized brands globally. This is a remarkable tale of Louis Vuitton and how it achieved its current status as a force to reckon with in the fashion industry. Phase 1. A street child. Born in 1821, Louis Vuitton spent his childhood in the rural French village of Ancaille. His family farm lacked basic amenities like electricity and running water. Louis's father, Xavier, was a farmer and a miller, while his mother, Corinne, supplemented the family income by making hats. Unfortunately, there's no record of Louis receiving any formal education. Instead, he spent his youth working tirelessly in the fields, struggling to provide for his family. Louis's circumstances worsened when his mother died when he was just 10 years old. His father quickly remarried, but Louis found his new stepmother to be controlling and manipulative. The situation at home became unbearable, and at just 13 years old, Louis decided to run away to Paris. However, the journey was long and he had no money or food. He had to walk the 225 miles to Paris along dirt roads, often sleeping in the woods and going hungry. To survive, Louis worked odd jobs and picked up various skills from craftsmen he met along the way. Despite the hardships he faced, he persevered and continued his journey to Paris. It took him 3 years to reach his destination, during which he learned to work with metal, stone, fabric, and wood. These skills would later become the foundation of his success. Phase 2. Achieving prosperity. Louis arrived in Paris and quickly found work as an apprentice boxmaker and packer. This job allowed him to meet wealthy clients and learn the craft of making custom-sized boxes and packaging luggage for their travels. After working hard for several years, Louis caught the attention of the Empress of France, who appointed him as her personal boxmaker and packer. This was a significant achievement for Louis, who had started with nothing and worked his way up to working amongst royalty. At the age of 33, Louis used his savings to start his own boxmaking workshop in Paris, selling his own products. He noticed a flaw in the leather luggage of the day, which had a rounded, dome-shaped top that made it impossible to stack. Louis experimented with different materials and found that canvas was lighter, more durable and water-resistant, allowing him to create luggage with a flat top that could be stacked efficiently. His new suitcase design quickly became a must-have accessory among the wealthy, and the Louis Vuitton brand became synonymous with high-quality, elegant luggage. Louis' success continued to grow, and within 2 years of creating his new suitcases, he was receiving orders from around the world, even from royalty in Egypt. He made enough profit to hire a team of craftsmen and opened a new workshop outside Paris, hiring 20 employees. As travel became more popular, Louis' potential customer base grew, and he continued to thrive. However, tragedy was about to strike again for Louis as France headed to war. Despite his success, Louis would face challenges in the years to come. Phase 3. Starting over. In 1870, when Louis Vuitton was 49 years old, the Franco-Prussian War broke out, forcing him to flee his home and live in a cramped shelter with thousands of others. Food supplies were scarce, and he feared for his life. When Louis was finally able to return to a shop in 1871, everything was destroyed. Windows were smashed, equipment was stolen, and he had lost everything he had worked so hard for. However, instead of giving up, he decided to use his savings to rebuild the business and vowed that it would be even better than before. With so many people displaced from the war, there were many empty shops available for rent throughout the city. Louis Vuitton took advantage of this by opening his new shop in a much more wealthy and aristocratic location in Paris. It was perfect because it was right next to the railway station at the Grand Hotel, so travelers who needed new luggage didn't need to go far to find the Louis Vuitton store. By 1872, he came out with a brand new design of luggage made of beige canvas with stripes. This became incredibly popular, and people loved showing off the modern style. Many other brands tried to copy his style, but his bags were just of such ridiculously high quality that customers still preferred a true Louis Vuitton bag. For the next 20 years, Louis continued to work at his new shop in Paris until his death at the age of 70. However, his legacy was able to live on through his son George, who took over the family business. George sought to expand the brand globally, such as opening a popular store in London. At this point, Louis Vuitton luggage was so popular that many other box makers were beginning to make counterfeits. So in 1896, Georges Vuitton brought out the now iconic LV monogram to make it harder to copy. The LV were his father's initials in honor of the man who started the brand, but he also came up with the idea of adding a revolutionary new lock on the trunks that will make it impossible for thieves to pick them. By the year 1900, the company had 100 employees, and it continued to grow year after year. All of the employees were trained for a very long time in order to become expert box makers. Even to this day, Louis Vuitton employees train for 18 months to 2 years before they are trusted to make one of the products of their own. The company also began to expand into a whole new line of products because of another fashion icon, Coco Chanel. In 1925, she commissioned a small dome-shaped handbag. At first, this was a design that she personally came up with, but it was just for her. However, it would go on to be mass-produced, and it was given the name Alma. This was massively successful, so Louis Vuitton decided to make more small leather bags like the Keepall, Speedy and Noe. Before, Louis Vuitton's handbags were often seen as quite inelegant and bulky, but the company played a big role in making them more fashionable. George Vuitton died in 1936, and the company was then passed on to his son, Gaston Louis. However, Gaston took over the company at a very difficult time because in just a few years, France was again heading to war. During World War II, contracts were cancelled and Gaston was forced to shut down the Louis Vuitton factory. Paris was under siege again, and the only way Gaston could save the business was to collaborate with Nazi Germany. An author named Stephanie Bonvinci wrote a book called Louis Vuitton, a French Saga. During her research of the company's archives, author Stephanie Bonvinci asked to see the records from World War II. The company representatives initially tried to avoid showing her the information and claimed that all documents from 1930 to 1945 were destroyed in a fire. However, after extensive research into other historical documents, Stephanie discovered that Louis Vuitton collaborated with Nazi Germany and was able to open a glamorous ground floor shop front of the Hotel du Parc throughout the Nazi regime, while several other brands were forced to shut down for refusing to cooperate with the Nazis. Although the company was clearly ashamed of this part of the history, they argued that Gaston had to do what was necessary for the company to survive. Other fashion designers like Coco Chanel also collaborated with the Nazis to ensure that their businesses in Paris were not destroyed. Without their choice to work with the enemy, their brands likely would not exist today. Phase 4. The adversity faced by Louis Vuitton. In 1970, the founder of Louis Vuitton passed away and his son-in-law, Henri Racamier, took over the management of the company and the brand, marking the beginning of the fourth generation. Unlike his predecessors, Henri had prior business experience, which he utilized to elevate the brand to new heights. He transformed the business model from wholesale to retail and expanded the brand globally, with sales skyrocketing from $20 million to $260 million within 6 years. In 1984, Louis Vuitton went public, and with influx of cash, Henri continued to open stores worldwide, reaching the sales record of $1 billion in 1987. He also decided to merge with Moet Hennessy, a luxury drinks company, forming a new conglomerate called LVMH to combine resources and expand even further. However, after the merger, Henri and the president of Moet Hennessy had disagreements, and he brought in a property developer named Bernardino to help. Unfortunately, Bernardino secretly acquired 43% of Louis Vuitton's shares and gained more power in LVMH. Henri took him to court, but ultimately the court ruled in Bernardino's favor. Henri resigned from Louis Vuitton, leaving the brand without any involvement from the Baston family for the first time in a century. Sales declined, and journalists stopped covering the brand, but Bernard turned the company's fortunes around by collaborating with fashion designers, including Vivienne Westwood and Isaac Mizrahi, who created unique products featuring the iconic LV monogram logo. Today, LVMH owns over 70 luxurious brands, with Bernard as the CEO and one of the richest people in the world, with a net worth of over $180 billion. Phase 5. Present-day Louis Vuitton. Louis Vuitton has continuously expanded its brand with vibrant designs that appeal to a younger audience. In 1997, Marc Jacobs became the creative director and introduced the first ready-to-wear line, as well as the popular monogram Vernus handbags. He also extended the brand into watches, jewelry and sunglasses, though he eventually moved on to create his own line. However, the company is not without its issues, as Louis Vuitton's legal team aggressively searches for copyright infringement and has sued multiple parties for copying the brand's logo. The brand has collaborated with other companies such as Supreme to expand its demographic, but it has also sued them for copyright infringement. Despite counterfeit products causing the company to lose millions of dollars annually, Louis Vuitton remains a highly desired brand and is valued at $39 billion with over 400 stores worldwide. Some may argue that the brand is overpriced, while others believe that the quality of their products justifies the high price tag. What do you think? Share your thoughts below.